Ladies and gentlemen, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy Ruben, and you know what it is. And I'm sorry, it's been a minute. Your boy caught COVID, and it kind of did a number on me for a little bit, but I'm back. And Knicks fans, what a time to be back. The draft just happened, and there's a lot of pissed off New York Knicks fans, and I want to dive into it and let you know how I feel about it, where we're going, and how we should kind of probably feel about it. And so a lot of us are pissed off, right? There's kind of three factions. There's the faction that's pissed off we didn't make the move for Jaden Ivey, right? The second, there's a faction that's pissed off that we punted completely out of the draft, right? And then thirdly, there's a faction that's pissed off that we punted out of the draft to clear cap space that they're trying to clear. There's a faction that's pissed off. We put it out of the draft, basically specifically to create cap space to overpay for Jalen Brunson. That's that third group. I was trying to think of a simple way to put that, but that's just what it is. So let's talk about the first group, the Jaden Ivey group. Guys, I would have loved Jaden Ivey, but I wasn't willing to move heaven and earth for him like a lot of New Yorkers were. And why is that? I honestly don't think a lot of us realize how good we are and where we came from. It wasn't that long ago that we were fielding like starting lineups that had Emmanuel Mudiay and Enes Kanter in it. Okay, just food for thought. We've once fielded Enes Kanter, Luke Cornett on in the starting lineup. Mudiay, Lonzo Trier. Right, some old Knick favorites, but come on. At the end of the day, we know that those weren't suitable NBA lineups, right? So to say, sometimes you kind of got to understand where you came from, right? And kind of temper expectations. This is the most talented roster we probably had in like the last 15 years, okay? From top to bottom. Let me maybe explain it better that way, right? Because I don't want to diminish the Carmelo, Mari, Stoudemire, Knicks, or whatever. But that seems like a long time ago, doesn't it? Now, I didn't, if we were able to give them, veterans and draft picks, for instance, if I could have gave them Julius Randle, Alec Burks, and you guys are going to hear a lot of Julius Randle trade offers from me because I've been basically trying to get rid of Randle for Obi Toppin for a long time. If I could have pulled that off, I would have pulled that off. But the big rumor is a lot of the trade packages we were offering included Cam Reddish. Nobody wants our vets, guys, unfortunately. So Julius Randle's value is at an all-time low, and then I'm not even sure that this regime has given up on Julius Randle yet. Case in point, we just saw him in Dallas, right, with Worldwide West, pissing off Mark Cuban because we were at the playoff game with Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson, two prospective Knicks players in the future, right? So I'm not sure they've given up on Julius Randle, and I'm not sure it even makes business sense at this point unless the right deal comes along to get rid of Julius Randle because his value is just at an all-time low, unfortunately. Now, Detroit clearly wanted more than we were willing to give, and the rumor in those packages was Cam Reddish, and I'm of the ilk that does not want to get rid of Cam Reddish. I am super high on Cam Reddish. I think of anybody on this team, he has the biggest ability to turn into a star, okay? You're talking about a 6'8", 6'9" wing player that can shoot the three, pull up, get to the basket, athleticism. Like, he has the entire toolkit, okay? I even think he has a better toolkit than RJ Barrett. And a lot of us, I know we love RJ Barrett, but at the end of the day, he's just more athletic than RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett, I don't want to get into all his strengths and weaknesses. That's something for another video. But the fact that I can have an RJ Barrett and Cam Reddish to build on, and I'm not saying they're exactly these players, but I see us, moving into a sort of Boston-ish kind of development, right? With Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I think we have some of that potential. Now, Cam Reddish didn't have the hype Jason Tatum had, and RJ Barrett can't even shoot as well as Jaylen Brown. But again, we never know with development. Long story short, I wasn't willing to give up some of those guys, which, guys I don't want to give up is Cam Reddish, RJ Barrett, IQ, Obi Toppin. One of those, if not two, were probably asked for. So I'm of the faction that's kind of happy we didn't end up with Jaden Ivey. I would have took him, but it would have had to been for the right trade. And I'm not of the faction that believes that automatically he's a star. It would have been nice that we can draft a guy and develop him into a star, but there's things that Jaden Ivey does that I would have wondered how he would have fit in here. He's some people were billing him like, oh, the savior at point guard, and he's not really a point guard. He doesn't really play make. He has athleticism, but he wasn't the greatest three-point shooter. He's not the greatest defender. He does have star potential. So that's the only thing that intrigued me is instead of selling half the team for like a Donovan Mitchell, maybe we could have made that move and developed him. That would have been interesting, but it didn't work out. I'm not upset about that. The second faction of people who are upset that we completely punted out the draft, I'm not mad about that either, because the 11th pick, there wasn't anybody there that I loved. I liked Mathurin and Ivy, and to a certain degree, Johnny Davis, Agbaji. Like there were some guys there, but outside of Jaden Ivey, to be honest with you guys, and Mathurin, I didn't love anybody, and so I was completely fine with them gathering more assets, and they turned the 11th pick into 3 first-round picks. The most frustrating part was we could never get clarity throughout the entire night on what we did, what we acquired. That was the most frustrating part about the draft, and I think the NBA has to do a better job of getting that information disseminated. So we traded the 11th pick for heavily protected first-round picks. We then flipped one of those picks, picked up Jalen Duren, and then flipped Jalen Duren and Kemba Walker to dump Kemba Walker's salary. And then we ended up with Milwaukee's 2025 pick. So there's people that feel like that these draft picks that we got aren't really worth anything. Now, this is kind of where I fall in. I'm not mad at none of the moves. The biggest thing, if anything, that I'm mad at is I don't understand why we traded for protected picks. I can't, for the 11th pick, I can't fathom why we couldn't pick up non-protected picks, or at least picks that weren't so heavily protected, because some of these, in particular, I want to say it might be the Wizards pick, is a pick that looks like it can't be realized because it's heavily protected. I think it's like 18, like somewhere between 16 and 18 in the first year, and then top 16 to 14 the next year. Like the Wizards pick is the one that's kind of like, we don't know if we're gonna realize that one. We'll see. But ultimately, what we've done is we've acquired more assets. But here's where me and that faction of people kind of part ways, because a lot of people are like, bruh, these picks don't have any value, right? Even the Milwaukee pick, that's all the way in 2025, it's Milwaukee, right? They're going to be championship contending team for quite some time, which I'm going to tend to agree. I don't think that train's slowing down by 2025, right? But where we part ways is, when it comes to this side of things, I trust in the front office. All right. And here's what I mean by that. The first year I don't know if you guys remember, but we traded for Ed Davis. When we traded for Ed Davis, we took on his salary. And because we took on his salary, Utah parted with 2 second-round picks. That year, those 2 second-round picks allowed us to maneuver in the draft. We then flipped Ed Davis for, I believe, another second-round pick and 2 younger players that we never ever, played and whatnot. But we turned Ed Davis into like 3 second-round picks and 2 players, and then that allowed us flexibility that allowed us to move up and down, acquire more picks. Some of those picks were used in trades today or in the NBA draft the other day, and allowed us to maneuver around to pick up players like Emmanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes, right? I feel like this regime values draft picks as gold. They don't just devalue second round picks and like other teams do. So we just continue gathering assets, and then we're able to lump them up to have flexibility in the drafts and pick certain targeted players that fit our system that are going to help us in the future, right? And then even the draft picks in the second round that we do make, I think we've had tremendous success when it comes to picking up players in the second round. We're talking Deuce McBride, we're talking Mitchell Robinson, we're talking Jericho Sims, who could end up replacing Mitchell Robinson. See what I'm saying? So I think this front office doesn't get enough credit for that. Where this front office, I think, has missed the ball here is I wasn't with them giving Julius Randle the deal they gave him, and I don't love the Evan Fournier contract. But I am of the faction that believes in, okay, first off, a lot of the contracts that we did sign these veterans to, Nerlens Noel, Alec Burks, they're essentially one-year contracts because there's player team options after this year. So those are expiring deals that I believe you're going to probably see some of them come off of this year in separate trades because we are also trying to come up with that money for Jalen Brunson. The faction of people that don't like Jalen Brunson, I think, are a bit spoiled in not seeing the forest for the trees, okay? Do I think Jalen Brunson is that dude? No, I don't. But if we're going to keep Julius Randle, if we're going to keep Evan Fournier, if we're going to keep the team for the most part as is, it looks like to me, minus said, maybe a couple, like I'm hearing Burks and Noel probably be on the move. We need a point guard. And I understand the other rumors, Dejounte Murray's out there. I don't want Dejounte Murray. And let me tell you why. I'd rather go ahead and get Jalen Brunson. Sorry, guys. I know some of y'all hate it, and I know we're going to overspend for it. But here's why. If we're going to keep the team as is, the biggest thing we were missing was a point guard. Now, is he Dejounte Murray? No. But is he going to require 5 first-round picks and players? No, he isn't. And is he going to have the same kind of... What I don't like about DeJounte Murray is the kid can't shoot, ultimately, guys. I wonder if some of you guys have actually watched him play. He can't shoot. And in the fourth quarter, I question some of his decision-making, which is why I think they're probably willing to come off him because Greg Popovich, I've seen him drive him insane in the fourth quarter in terms of how they deal with how he manages the game in the fourth quarter. It's a problem. I've seen him, not take advantage of the shot clock at the end of games when they're kind of going tit for tat and they have the lead. He's a young player. He could ascend, but I don't want another point, especially that we're paying that kind of money to, that can't control the game when I need him to control the game. Jalen Brunson is the kind of guy that can. And I understand that a lot of people are like, well, he's not worth the money. But to this team, especially if we're going to keep this team as is, he's exactly the kind of point guard we need. We didn't make the playoffs this year, but do you remember what Derrick Rose did for us when we ascended to the 4th seed the year before? I think he can provide that and more. And don't let Derrick Rose actually not get hurt this year and play. So the fact that we would have a rotation of Jalen Brunson and Derrick Rose, hell, even if Derrick Rose doesn't play, I think Emmanuel Quickly is really ready to step up in point guard duties. Jalen Brunson can really be the difference for a team getting back into the playoffs next year. Does he make us a championship contender? No. But does he up the talent level? Can he up Julius Randle's fucking value? Absolutely. Because Julius Randle had to handle the ball way too much. And then it took way too long to realize maybe we should give IQ the ball. Because majority of the year, we were having Alec Burks play point, and it didn't work. All right? Now, we've got assets. Let's see what we do with them. If we get Jalen Brunson, I'm good with that. But don't be surprised if some of these assets are going to be moved in deals that are going to help us get off of the Alec Burks contract, Nerlens Noel contract. I honestly don't want to move first-round picks for him, but, because it's so protected, if they're going to add it as juice, then I'm all for it. Let me know what y'all think. Remember to like and subscribe, guys. Peace.